that conversation happened last night, and from that conversation, like, this is like days after the initial conversation. From that conversation, I realized, "Oh, no, I don't have an accurate view of who my wife is." What's up, everybody? Welcome to Real Men, Real Talk. This is the place where we have uncomfortable conversations while wearing the world's most comfortable underwear. And today we are going to get a little uncomfortable because today's episode is, what if you are the problem? All right. So, oh, yeah. already, already I'm puckering just a little bit. um, so this came out of real life, all right? So every now and then in our relationships, whether it be friendships or whether you're with your significant other or even your children or your father, whatnot, um, there comes a time where you're gonna mess up. We're human. However, the question is, like, what do we do when we are the problem? How do we react when somebody comes to you and says, "Hey, you messed up"? That's what this episode is about. So, I'll start us off because this one's kind of my thing, I guess. So this happened this last week, and I, long story short, I messed up. I'm not going to get into details, but and it was with my wife. She had to bring this up and say, "You messed up," and basically, as I was sitting there listening to it, there's obviously the feelings of, you can dismiss it, you can maybe get angry and say, "Oh, wait, but I," you can try to defend it. Um, you could maybe just sink down into yourself and, try to disassociate. That's kind of generally my thing. I tend to, you know, sink down in myself and just like check out, like basically like try not to mess anything up. That's sort of the way I tend to react. Well, during the conversation, it just basically got to the point where I just needed to own and say, "Yep, I messed up." And I had to ask my wife, like, "Will you forgive me?" And she is a really gracious woman. Um, and I hope that for when you get called out, that you have gracious people around you, because that does make it a lot easier when somebody knows how to vocalize a problem, tell you that you messed up while also not being mean about it. Very hard to do sometimes, especially when you're the one who has been wronged and you have to tell somebody else you messed up, because you can get pretty angry sometimes. Um, so I guess, let's see, the other part of this story, to sort of like bring it around to a point and bring it around to a practical application, is like, for me, the problem wasn't solved like right after the conversation happened. Like, the episode didn't end. It didn't end in a happy, you know, sign off, and everybody's happy and we all, travel down the yellow brick road or whatever. It just, yeah, it just sort of like, oh, well, there it is. And now I've got to just sort of sit with that. And so I sat with that for like a couple of days. And me, I'm Christian, so like I'm praying about it. Um, and I'm reading my Bible, not looking for anything specific, just trying to keep the habit, because it does help. And I journaled about it a little bit. That's something that helps me it slows my thoughts down and helps just assemble things outside of my head instead of all the thoughts like swirling around in there, and causing chaos. So it took a few days, and then as I was praying about it, I felt like, there was this resource that I should share, from this woman that my wife really respects. Anyway, long story short, it's a weekly check-in, and so now we're going to try to do this weekly check-in as a couple. And that conversation happened last night, and from that conversation, like, this is like days after the initial conversation. From that conversation, I realized, oh, no, I don't have an accurate view of who my wife is. And so yet again, I was the problem, and basically I have some work to do. Let's put it that way. There's ways that I've learned of living from my past that I've got to unlearn and then reapproach my wife. So, just I think maybe the takeaway is when you're the problem, being humble, not immediately reacting, and giving it time to breathe, like not needing to solve it right then. Those are probably some good starting steps. All right, so Tillman, with that out of the way, you had a story, and you can share as much or as little as you like, and we can just chat about it.
Go on. Yeah. No, like full disclosure, this isn't something to where we come on here and just like speak our worldly problems for people to sap over either. Like we want to help people
Yeah.
learn the situation and stuff too. So it's
Yes,
like,
exactly. This
don't,
is
don't
specifically
cry
like
with us, cry and better yourself. Right. So it's like,
yes, like this is so that you learn something because
that's right.
so you don't make the same mistake.
That's right. That's right. So, no, so yeah, Chris, you brought up the idea, and so it kind of hit home for me too, because I've hit that point where you know I've kind of hit that point in my marriage where it's like, oh man, like I said, I'm at that point where I desire to be a good husband, I desire to be a good father, kind of thing, and I feel like if you get married young, it's easy to think, oh, I missed out on all this X, Y, and Z. I didn't go to all these crazy college gatherings or anything like that. Tons of excuses you can think of. Um, and we got married pretty young. We were both in our early 20s, and we took a trip to Argentina, and we had some deep conversations with family members and stuff like that. And it just kind of really opened. I say it kind of. It really did open my eyes to wow, Tilghman, you've got some work to do. Bad. Like, just like, oh my goodness, what was I thinking this last this last few years? And like, what was I doing? Didn't have my head turned screwed on right. And and so it's easy to look at yourself and be like, oh, I'm just gonna tread lightly and not try to mess anything up. But that's a bad approach in some situations. You want to be able to step up to the plate and be ready to hit that home run or be ready to hit that first
Yeah.
base.
You
Just
still need to do your job as a man.
exactly,
Like you still need to
exactly,
step out and
yeah,
take risks.
exactly. And it's like I feel like men can suffer just a little bit better because we're easy. We can fill our plates pretty quick. Like we're like, oh, I got to work. I'm just going to focus on work. And I say suffer, but it's kind of like it's almost like I'm going to ignore everything else and just go focus on my work. You know what I'm saying?
What it sounds like.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
exactly
not
what.
suffering, ignoring. My thoughts are all over the place, but it just, there's a lot of things that I've done in my past that did not align with what my thought of a good husband and father are, you know, and um, not telling on myself or anything like that, and not saying like my relationship's terrible. My relationship is great because I'm able to have these deep conversations with my wife, and and I think on last week's episode I mentioned that we've been doing some side work and everything like that. And this last weekend we were digging some holes to put some posts in for a fence for a guy, and it was just me and my wife. We were out there, no music, no nothing, just nature, dirt, and worms all over the place. It was awesome, and we opened up, and we had both mentioned some things that was heavy on our minds, and it came down to the point where like, well, I feel like I'm more ready and of able mind and body and spirit to step up to the plate now than I was when we first got married. Um, a lot of immature activities, a lot of stupid, silly decisions, and everything like that. And it does affect things later on in life. So I feel like with the question of, or with the statement of like I'm the problem, that hits home for a lot of us. It's like, oh man, I messed up. Woe is me. Like I'm gonna tread lightly. I don't want to mess up again. Um,
Mhm.
but having that mindset, I've noticed you're gonna mess up again. Like in that mindset, you're gonna mess up probably worse because you're gonna be in your head about it. You might have a time alone, and like if you have a problem, and like if the wife doesn't like you doing this thing, and you go out and do that thing because you're in your head about everything, and then you come back home and just things get worse. And so it's like it's very eye-opening for me to realize like, hey, I did mess up, and with our heart-to-heart conversations that we've been having, she's helped me realize like, hey, you like it's been a struggle, but I know who you can be, and that's why I want to
Mhm.
stay with you and support you. Um,
Yeah.
and but yeah, and it's you know, sorry guys, my mind is all over the place, but it's just it's very it's eye-opening because once you realize like, hey, I'm the reason because like I'm the reason behind of all or pause. I'm the reason why there's these feelings. So why can't I just slowly reverse these things that I've done? You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
And so it's
So,
so yeah,
so I'll, yeah, these are
all over the
always,
place. But you know, it's one of those things where you
well, we're
just got to
painting a
step up and be
picture.
yeah, paint the picture. Yeah,
We're just kind of painting a picture because like, we don't want to get into specifics because like, these are our lives we're talking about here. Like, we're not here to air out our dirty laundry just to feel better about ourselves. Like, that's not helpful.
exactly.
Um, I guess what we want you guys to take away from this is that it's okay to be the problem every
Yes.
now and then.
Yes.
Let's put it this way. It's not ideal. No, it's not right. But at the same time, it's not abnormal. Like, we're human. We're going to make mistakes. So our job as men is to not like run and hide and disassociate when we mess up. Trust me, like me, I want to run and hide. I want to disassociate. I just want to like,
Yes.
I'm the problem. I'm going to leave.
Same here.
Like, it's
Yeah.
okay. Well, I need to be gone. I need to not be here.
Exactly.
Um, However, what people in your life really want from you is not for you to leave. Maybe leave for a while and just like so that they can have a minute. Maybe. What they really want is for you to take all those things that you have as a man, all that strength, all that aggression, all that drive that you have as a man and use it for good. Like they want all that power to be in service to them, honestly. Like because like for my situation, I'm talking about my wife. My strength, aggression, power, and drive is for her. So it's not right to just turn all that off and disassociate because then I'm committing another sin. I'm 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 leaving and when she needs me. And so maybe that's another takeaway is so like yeah, slow down, think on it, journal on it. Don't get defensive, just listen, pray about it. Um and then come back to it and work hard not to disassociate, work hard not to check out because whether you mess up or not, they still need you. Um, and they actually, if the relationship is in a good place, they want you. They want you to bring all that you are to the table, all the goodness that you are to the table. Um, well, hey, so I think that about sums it up. We love you guys. Here's an uncomfortable conversation for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Try our underwear. You can be comfortable while having very uncomfortable conversations. Really
That's
awesome. Yeah. Get you some mantees, get you some boxer briefs. Links down in the description. Guys, we hope you loved this episode, and we honestly just hope it helps. So we love you. We'll see you next time.